Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, September 10th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Sunday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Miami Marlins taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. No official starter for Miami, but we should see Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia. You know, Suarez has not fared too well at home this season, where he's got an ERA above 5 and an 0-3 record in about 48 and third innings of work. And Suarez has faced the Marlins a couple of times this season. He's got a good ERA and 12 innings of work, a 3 ERA. However, 18 base hits and 6 walks allowed, so a very high opponent's batting average at 375, even steeper whip as well. And only 7 strikeouts in those 12 innings. So the Marlins have certainly had their chances against Suarez. I think to get to him in this game on the road, I think there's going to be value at Miami here. So give me the Marlins on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Detroit Tigers. We're going to see Jesse Scholtens for Chicago, and then making his Major League debut, Sawyer Gipson-Long for Detroit. Now, Gipson-Long is the number 19 prospect in the Tigers organization. He's pitched in AA and AAA this season. He's had mixed results in those minor league innings. Better in AA. He pitched better in AA. He had an ERA above 5 in AAA action, Toledo. And he's got decent strikeout stuff, but the control is a little bit of a concern, especially missing inside the zone, giving up a good amount of home runs. And, you know, the White Sox aren't the best lineup in baseball, that's for sure, but I do think they will be able to get to Gipson-Long for a few runs. And Jesse Scholtens on the other side, coming off one of his worst starts of the season, giving up 5 earned runs in only 3 2/3 innings against the Kansas City Royals. And it actually makes it now 3 of the last 4 starts for Scholtens, giving up 5 or more runs. And in 2 of his last 3 starts, giving up 2 or more home runs. So don't love that. And the White Sox are 0-5 in his last 5 games. A lot of high-scoring games along the way. 12-1, 9-3, 8-5, and 11-5. I think we could see a similar scoreline here. Give me the over in White Sox Tigers. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. No official starter for Seattle right now, but I am seeing Bryce Miller listed on ESPN, so he could very well be the starter. Zach Eflin going for Tampa Bay. Eflin's been tough to beat at Tropicana Field this year. I mean, he's got a 10-4 record in 93 2/3 innings, 104 strikeouts, and an ERA just above 3 at 3.17. Bryce Miller hasn't been the best on the road. If he is in fact the starter here, I don't think he'll have the best outing. And, you know, these are 2 very similar teams in terms of their numbers against righties in the last month, their bullpen numbers in the last 30 days. I'm going to lean towards Tampa Bay because they've just been such a good home team, especially when Eflin's been on the mound for them. So give me Tampa Bay on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Washington Nationals. No official starter for LA, but we should see Trevor Williams for the home team. Trevor Williams, we talk about a lot of different starting pitchers. We talk about their home and road splits. Certain guys pitch a lot better on the road or, you know, pitch better at home. But Trevor Williams is one of these guys. He's got a 5.22 ERA on the road and a 5.21 ERA at Nationals Park. He has not fared too well in the second half of the season. You look at his last game against the Marlins, 4 innings, 12 base hits, 9 total runs, 8 of those were earned, and 4 home runs, and then 11-5 Marlins win. I can't trust him here against one of the toughest lineups in baseball. If it is a bullpen game for Los Angeles, this bullpen's been strong this season. I think they'll get the job done. So give me the Dodgers laying the 1.5 runs on the road. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Boston Red Sox. We're going to see Grayson Rodriguez and Brian Bayo on the mound in this one. You know, Grayson Rodriguez, you still look at that 4.91 ERA on paper. Looks pretty steep, but he has just not been pitching that way really the last 2 months or so. I mean, look at his last 5 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. Good strikeout numbers, a lot better control than what we saw from him at the beginning of the season. So he's been a completely different pitcher. The Orioles are 3-1 in his last 4 starts. Brian Bayo on the other side has been up and down, a little inconsistent in the second half of the season, having some issues with the home run ball, but he's coming off a quality start against the Rays, 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts. To me, the Orioles are just a better team in this one with a better bullpen. I do think Grayson Rodriguez is the better starting pitcher, so I'm going to take Baltimore on the money line on the road. Next up, it's the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the New York Yankees. Corbin Burnes and Garrett Cole, pretty good pitching matchup in this one. Now, neither of these teams have really done well against righties offensively in the last month. Obviously, we got 2 really good starting pitchers, so maybe the under is worth a look. But I do think the Yankees grabbed the W in the end. I like the fact that the Yankees have better power numbers against righties in the last 30 days, and their BABIP is also one of the lowest in baseball against righties in the last month. So we could expect some positive regression going forward for the Yankees against those righties. Garrett Cole's been sharp. He's been the best starting pitcher in the Yankees rotation, one of the best starters in the league this season, and he's actually been pretty solid at Yankee Stadium, a very hitter-friendly ballpark. 8-2 record with a 3.23 ERA, 97 2/3 innings at home with 111 strikeouts. Give me the New York Yankees on the money line, and I lean towards the under in this one as well. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Cole Ragans and Jose Barrios are your starters. It's tough to go against Cole Ragans right now, especially when we're getting prices like this because he's on the Kansas City Royals. We're getting a lot of plus money. I'll take the Royals plus the 1.5 runs and a sprinkle on the money line. As you know, Jose Barrios has not been great as of late. He's given up a lot of home runs, 6 homers his last 3 games, and last 2 starts were against the A's and the Nationals, 2 of the weaker lineups in baseball. Ragans, like I mentioned, he won the Pitcher of the Month in the American League in August with a 1.72 ERA. His first start in September, 6 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 7 strikeouts in a shutout, 12-1 win. The Royals bullpen gave up a run, but a great performance from Cole Ragans in that one. Give me the Kansas City Royals plus the 1.5 runs and a sprinkle on that money line. Next up, we'll go to Great American Ballpark as the Cardinals take on the Reds. Miles Mikolas and Hunter Green are your projected starters. Hunter Green was really struggling his first 2 starts back from injury, where he gave up 8 earned runs and then 5 earned runs. But his next start against the Giants was really sharp. 5 1/3 innings, only 1 walk, only 1 unearned run, and 6 strikeouts in a 4-1 Reds win. I do think Green is the better option in this game. Even though Mikolas pitched well at Great American earlier this season, we saw him struggle mightily at Great American last year. I think he had an ERA above 9 in those games, and I don't trust him in this one. I think the Reds have the better lineup, the better bullpen, and the better starting pitcher. So give me Cincinnati on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Minnesota Twins. Pablo Lopez and Tyler McGill are your projected starters. You know, it's been tough to back Pablo Lopez when he's pitching at Target Field this season, where he's got an ERA above 4.6. However, in his last 3 home starts, 2 of those 3 were quality starts, including his last home game against the Guardians. That was back on August 29th. It wasn't his best game by any means, but still 6 innings, 3 runs, and he only gave up 1 home run and 5 strikeouts in that game. And I think he's the better option in this one, you know, compared to Tyler McGill and this Mets bullpen. McGill, an ERA above 5 this season. He's been really struggling on the road this year. He's been a lot better at Citi Field. On the road, an ERA just below 8 at 7.93 with a 2-5 record to go with it. He's given up a lot of sharp contact this season. The control's been off. The Twins have a very powerful lineup, a good lineup against righties. Give me the Minnesota Twins here on the money line. Next up, we see the Houston Astros hosting the San Diego Padres. JP France and Rich Hill are your projected starters. I like the over in this game. You know, Rich Hill, a lefty, facing an Astros team that we know has crushed lefties this season, including last month where they're number 1 in OPS and ISO against southpaws. JP France has actually not been in great form lately. His last start gave up 5 earned runs and 3 home runs, makes it at least 1 home run given up in each of his last 4 games, including 2 or more homers in 3 of those 4. And we know his last home start, he gave up 10 earned runs against the Boston Red Sox in that 17-1 Red Sox win. Overall this season, France has not pitched too well at Minute Maid Park with an ERA just below 5. Give me the over here. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Chicago Cubs. We're going to see Kyle Hendricks and Brandon Pfaadt on the mound in this one. I'm going to take a shot here at Arizona on the money line, getting a really good price. You know, Arizona's played well in this series thus far. Kyle Hendricks not pitched too well at Wrigley Field. He's got a 2-4 record with a 4.53 ERA at home. The Diamondbacks are improving their numbers offensively against righties, a low strikeout rate, decent OPS numbers, and Brandon Pfaadt I do think is better than his current record and ERA, a 1-8 record, 6.27 ERA. He is still one of the top pitching prospects in this Diamondbacks organization. He's been better on the road with an ERA a little bit below or a little bit above 5, but give me Arizona here on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Oakland A's taking on the Texas Rangers. Luis Medina and John Gray are your projected starters. A game I'm staying away from. You know, the Rangers, I lean towards Texas here on the run line, but they've just been so tough to read and tough to back lately. And the last couple of weeks have been pretty disappointing, especially in roles like these. And we saw in the first game of this series, they lose outright to Oakland 6-3. John Gray's been inconsistent this year, but Luis Medina has struggled, especially on the road this year, where he's got an ERA above 6 at 6.21 in 42 innings of work. Give me the Rangers laying those 1.5 runs, but like I said, not a game I'm rushing to the window for. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Tanner Bybee and Kenny Rosenberg are your starters. Another game I'm not crazy about. I honestly would probably lean towards the Angels here, but I think the under might be the better play. Bybee's pitched well this season, an ERA at 3.05, one of the better rookies in the American League this season. And Kenny Rosenberg, even though he's not the best starting pitching option, he has a really good matchup against the Guardians team. It doesn't hit lefties very well. His last start was a quality start against the Orioles, 6 innings, 3 runs. We know it's a good Orioles team against lefties, so it's pretty impressive stuff from Rosenberg. I think he's good enough here to keep this game under the total. And the final game for Sunday's card in Major League Baseball, we're going to see the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Francisco Giants. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. I'll be staying away from this game, that's for sure. Peter Lambert's been better on the road this year, but we saw the Giants' offense break out in the first game of this series. I don't trust this Rockies bullpen, and the only time that Lambert faced the Giants this year, he gave 3 runs in only an inning and a third, so that was a 10-4 Giants win. I don't necessarily trust him either. I think the Giants have the much better bullpen, and even though the Giants lineup has not been great in the last month or really the second half of the season in general, I think it's good enough to win this game at home and cover the run line. So a lean for me with San Francisco laying those 1.5 runs, but I'll be probably watching Cowboys-Giants instead of Rockies-Giants. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. But don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.